Hello, Joel. These are your carburetors. I'm going to do a cold test, and I mean a cold test. 59 degrees, so it's a pretty cold test. Let's take a look here. See, first of all, these are your carburetors. I've got this set on macro, so distance things are going to be a little fuzzy, but anyway, got your carburetor right here. See if you can read that. 47888. And over here we've got 24531. Hopefully you can read that. We're going to go over a few features. Fully machined carburetors. All surfaces that can be machined were machined. Carb throats, the bores, new butterflies, new throttle shafts, new bushings, idle mixture screw holes machined. We've got helicoils for the studs here, helicoils elsewhere. All factory gaskets are used. You can tell because these are red, non-original gaskets are black. Idle mixture screws on the second barrel are dummies, closed off, locked off. Do not mess with them, do not touch them. We've got the new throttle studs here for your linkage. Since you got a conversion from Weber's to Solex's, of course I'm supplying all this new for you. All this will be new. And trying to think, installation, when you're hooking up the carburetors, when you're installing fuel lines, be sure to use a wrench to stabilize the inlet, and then do all your wrenching here on the swivel fitting, otherwise you'd run a chance of ripping the threads out. Mounting the carburetors, mount them loosely to where they can move up and down a little bit, and then get the airlog, put the airlog in place, cinch down the airlog to the carburetors at a couple of points, and once the airlog is cinched down to the carburetors, then secure the carburetors to the intake manifold, and then you can remove your airlog and do all your other installation you need to, like the fuel line, fuel drain underneath here, the carburetor support. And then once you've done all the fiddling around and drive it for a few miles without the airlog off to double check everything, then you can come back in and you'll be able to put the airlog in place, just slide it right in place and bolt everything up, because otherwise if you don't do that and you have these slightly out of adjustment, airlog will not fit. Also, the choke levers go to the center. Do not switch these carburetors up because you'll end up redoing your work twice. You don't want to do that. Now then, let's see. Fuel. Fuel is critical. Fuel cleanliness is critical. Fuel freshness is critical. These carburetors do not like dirty fuel. So I suggest running an extra inline fuel filter in front of the fuel pump. Just a commercially available steel inline filter would be fine. If you happen to see, like if you clean out your fuel tank and you see what looks like dirt, fine granular dirt, or actually almost a powder, that's not dirt, that's rust, and you need to address that issue with your fuel tank. I'm trying to think what else we need to do. Okay, in terms of operating these carburetors, the first thing you want to do in order to start the car is you got to make sure you got fuel up to the carburetors, and that's why they've got a priming lever. You know, these carburetors these vehicles should have come with a electric fuel pump, but they didn't, so they got a priming lever. Everything that was not fuel injected at this time had a priming lever, and so you may need to bump the engine over to get it on off the cam so that you can get some pressure and resistance on the lever. If it's on the cam, this lever has absolutely no resistance whatsoever, so you have to bump the engine over. I know it's a pain in the ass, but that's the way they made the car. So once you get fuel pumped up to the carburetors, you don't want to use the starter for that purpose. You'll end up replacing an expensive starter. Once you do that, you're going to come in, you're going to goose the throttle couple of times. You're going to operate your choke. Alright, switch on. I'll also notice that as I operate the choke, I'm actually moving the throttle linkage. See the throttle linkage move? That's what gives you your high idle for throttle for cold start. So, operate the throttle a little bit, the choke rather. We'll be feathering the choke knob on the dash. Give you your idle speed, and when it's cold and you're driving away cold. Alright, we can't do anything in terms of adjusting the carburetors until the engine is warmed up. So we're going to do a little warm-up. Going to accelerate the warm-up sequence. System fell off. Hot. Alright, hopefully the exhaust system will not fall off again. We're going to watch for the thermostat to open. Alright, so we got, it's almost got heat. Alright, thermostat opened. Now that in order to tune these carburetors properly, gotta have yourself a synchrometer. Get them off of internet. So what we want to do is want to make sure that our second barrel of each carburetor is not processing any air. Over here, or processing as little as possible. Then you want to, first before that, you want to disconnect the throttle linkage, so that you make sure you're running independently. Each carburetor is running independently. Just make sure that the throttle lever doesn't open up on you. So now, alright, now we're measuring the air we're processing here. It's we don't really care what the number is, except make sure it's the same from carburetor to carburetor. So looking right there, looks like about a 6, 7.5. Go over here. Obviously it's going to be the same because I've already adjusted these carburetors. 7.5. But what we're going to do is just for fun. And here's our this tachometer is not very accurate anymore, so I use this electronic tachometer, and we're on the high scale. Let's switch over to the low scale. So what we got here on the RPM on the low scale, run about 750 to 800. So let's idle these things down, see what we can get. Now we're going to do that by screwing the idle screws out the same amount. So let's screw this one out, full turn. Screw this one out, full turn. Or is that a half turn? Anyway. Now, make sure we're okay. So what's our reading here? Reading of 6.5, 6 over here. Reading a little bit under 6, so it's pretty accurate. Let's back this one out a little bit more. Over here, that's 6. Now let's see what our RPM is right now. On the low scale, here's our RPM on the low scale, reading right around, there's 400, 500, 600, so reading around 550 in terms of RPM. We can go down a little bit further than that just for fun. Let's do this about a quarter turn. See where we are here. Alright, running 5.5 over here. 5.5. Let's see how much that dropped it down. Use the camera work. Alright, so now we're running, there's 400, 500, so running at 500 RPM. Not too shabby. And let's get down a little bit further just for fun. Got a quarter turn there. That's 4.5 there, approximately. Alright. There we go, right there. 400 RPM. Not too shabby. Alright, now let's get it back where it's not laboring so much. Half turn, full turn, half turn, full turn. Alright, let's see where we are in terms of, that's 7.5. 7.5, almost 8. Let's back off on this one a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's see what our RPM is. I need to show you it's 7. Well, I will. Okay, because this is the RPM I'm going to ship these carburetors to you at. Between 750 and 800. Part of my exhaust system making noise. Alright, we got that taken care of. Now, your next mission is to snap on the throttle linkage so that when you snap it in place, nothing changes, and that's why this one right here is a turnbuckle. So you just dial it in exactly and boom, snap it in place. Come back and check your intake. 6, 7.5, almost 8. 6, 7.5. That's actually a little on the. Alright, so that's 7 and change. 7 and change. Okay. There you go. Now then, what I'd forgotten to do in between that should have been to adjust the idle mixture screws. But since they're already adjusted, I knew it would be okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to adjust the idle mixture screws, and the idle mixture screw adjustment. Remember, this is you screw it in until it just barely touches, and then you back it out 1.5 turns, and that's your initial adjustment. But since I've already adjusted it, all you need to do is dial it in very carefully to where the engine runs at the idles at the best possible in the best possible way. And you'll be able to tell this as I adjust the screw. You hear the filter start to degrade. Alright, backing it out. Runs really nice about there, but we'll double check. Starting to falter again. Since these have been remachined, that just very precise adjustments are necessary. Same thing over here. You feel it's starting to falter. Back where we started, we back it out just a little bit. RPM is starting to degrade. So we're back where we were. And it sounds really smooth right there. Really smooth. Check our idle. We're at a solid 800. Switch this over to the high scale so I don't peg my needle. Those are a nice set of carburetors. We'll do a restart on hot. Joel got you a really, really, really nice set of carbs. Thank you, sir, for your patience.